This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
It's time for Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm Cody, and with me is just Kyle today.
Hi, everyone.
We're a man down, people. Man down.
Ken finally got it, huh? He
Yeah.
finally got the COVID? Did he get the COVID?
We don't know yet.
Oh, we don't actually know yet?
We
I
don't
thought
know.
you already knew.
No, I didn't know.
That joke backfired.
Yeah.
Then. I feel bad.
We
Get
don't
well
know.
soon, Ken.
We don't know if he has the Rona. He's just not feeling very good, very under the weather, tired, and didn't make it out of bed today to come to the podcast studio. So
We'll miss him, but we'll carry on.
we are carrying on without him.
It is weird, though. I can't even remember the last time it's just been you and I. Like, I'm pretty sure even
I
when
know.
it switched from Eric to Ken on here, like, I don't
There was a
think...
couple episodes.
Was there a couple of
Yeah.
episodes? Okay. I thought it was
did-
like a quick transition, but
did-
a lot's happened in the year, so I don't remember.
I know. It's really crazy. It has been a year,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I don't know if any of our listeners remember Eric, but he left us on Valentine's Day of 2020.
He did. There's a whole episode dedicated to him if you want to check it out. Especially for him. Yeah, it literally has been a year, and we could have celebrated with Ken coming on board, but
Right.
he's under the weather now.
He is.
Hopefully
So
not from the COVID.
We'll have to look back and see when his first episode was.
Yeah, there might have been like an episode or two after. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Again, a lot's happened in the year. I don't
my
know if
gosh.
anyone's noticed, but
Yeah. We've been busy. We were revamping the website.
yeah, that was the only good thing that was happening that year.
That's the only thing that was happening. We were working hard and diligently to revamp the website.
Nothing else happened in the industry.
No.
No.
So we're a man down, but we did this week get to see a couple screeners, so that was fun. Well,
Yeah.
we got a screener of Boogie, and you watched Promising Young Woman, so
I was able to.
we're gonna get your take on that later in the podcast,
Great.
and then we have an update on Shuttered Venues, the Shuttered Venues grant, the SVOG.
Okay.
And they updated their frequently asked questions page last Friday, but we were gone last Friday, and we did a Thursday
Some
podcast.
of us were gone last Friday. Some of us had to work.
Well, I was laying tile. Well, not me, but people in my group were laying tile while I was watching children at our cabin. So,
Nah.
and there was like a foot of snow. So it's not
Could
like
have been at work.
oh,
It was a lot more fun.
there was still a foot of snow here.
Yeah, but I don't know. No children running around.
No children, no tile. Never tiling again. I take that back. I have to tile next weekend when Ken feels better.
Yeah, when and if he feels better.
We got the walls done. We didn't do the pan.
Poor guy. Never
I
a
know.
day off.
Never a day off. Well, he's getting today.
Well, under
Duress.
duress,
Yeah.
yes, but
So I guess we should get into it then, huh?
yeah, let's dive right in. Let's see what we got here.
Okay, so the upcoming release changes. There's not very many this week. It looks like Marry Me from Universal moved from May 14th to February 11th of 2022.
They are very confident in that movie, I guess.
Yeah. Nimona from Disney moved off of January 14th, 2022, and it's unset. I think I read something. This is from Blue Sky, correct?
Yeah, the animation studio
Yeah,
under
and-
Fox.
Under Fox,
Yeah.
and Disney took it over in their big acquisition of Fox,
Mm-hmm.
and they are now dismantling Blue Sky.
Yeah,
And
which is a bummer.
And I think Nimona is going to be a casualty of that. It's not finished, and I don't think there's any plans to finish it.
Yeah, I guess I was wondering if Disney Animation was going to come in and do something, or if they just
The
feel like there's no reason to.
The article I read indicated that it was just done, that they weren't going to.
Bummer.
Which is sad because Blue Sky was actually turning out to be a really good animation studio. I mean,
Yeah.
they had Ferdinand and
Spies in Disguise was it
Right.
was under Disney's distribution, but they did do that one.
They did that one, and my kids loved Spies in Disguise,
Yeah, I've heard good things
which we
about
called
it.
Pigeon Impossible on the podcast.
I mean, it's been around for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up with Ice Age, like with some of those Ice Age movies, and
Oh yeah, they had all
Rio
of,
was also another movie they did. That one I didn't see, but
right. But they did 2 Rio movies.
did they?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I didn't never even saw the first
I mean,
one.
Ice
so.
Age was the big thing that came out of Fox's animation endeavors, but Blue Sky was really, I think, coming into its own right before Disney.
Yeah.
Which is tough because it was nice to have another kids animation production company.
Yeah. I mean, there's Pixar and Disney has theirs, but that's, under the same umbrella. And you hope that DreamWorks can step up against Pixar for the most part. And you just hope for more competition than just those two.
Well, we'll have DreamWorks Animation and Illumination from Universal.
Yeah,
We've got Warner's Animation, which does like the Lego movies. And then
which might be under Universal now, I believe. I believe the Lego movies are going to Universal.
Are they?
I thought they had a new contract with Universal, and Warner Bros. Pulled the plug from their contract. I remember that happening like a year ago.
Oh my gosh, so much has changed.
I know.
But
maybe even longer. I don't know what time it is.
But it's just with Fox, having Fox content was always really good for kid shows in the summer. So when theaters would do summer kid programs, I always had Fox stuff in there, and it was just nice to make sure that every studio is represented. And now Disney is just kind of doing away with that. I know there's Sony Animation that does like Hotel Transylvania movies, and those are pretty good.
And they'll do more Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yep. So I mean, it's not like there's not competition, but Fox was just easy to work with back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably easier for film buyers and for theaters to, be able to get them to play at their theaters, while, you just hope for more of these studios.
They were a little more lenient and had better terms, I thought.
Yeah, which isn't
some of
very surprising.
Yeah. So that's kind of sad. The film Voyagers from Lionsgate is now releasing on April 9th, 2021. So I wonder if that'll be a day and date PVOD.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't tell if they're thinking that this is going to be like a wide release film or I mean wide, quote unquote, but I don't know if they're thinking about a day and date type release at all.
I bet it is, because it's going into April and nobody's looking at April right now. So
unless if they're the first.
Yeah, that could be, but I don't think
I'm going to be hopeful here.
Okay, you be hopeful.
I don't know what the movie's about at all, but I'm going to be hopeful.
I don't know what it's about, but I think it's going to be day and date PVOD. Okay, then Finding You from Roadside Attractions moved from April 23rd, 2021 to May. So there's some movement back. And Tyson's Run, what's ICR?
Iconic something? Here, I'll look it up for you.
Okay. I'm not sure what that is, but that moved from April 9th to August 6th of 2021. And we just got word right before the podcast that Sony, in a mystery film, is coming out March 12th. And the only thing we know about it is it's called The Long Weekend, and it's rated R.
And that's it, huh?
And that's it. Mystery film from Sony.
This is so unlike them.
The Long Weekend, March 12th. Yeah. Get ready for it, people. I don't know what it is.
You're going to have to prepare a week before it's released to know exactly what this movie is going to be. So good luck, but it's going to be pretty painful.
I appreciate the heads up from Sony, but I just wish they would have given us more information.
Yeah, they timed the heads up great. It's just a matter of, can you give us a bit more? Like, there's no synopsis. I mean, there's a cast list, but what use is that really if there's no one that you recognize? I mean, maybe like one or two actors, but even still, it's not very much, is it?
No, but it's a new film in March. On March 12th, I don't believe there was anything really going that week. So, kudos to Sony for stepping up and putting something there in March.
Yeah, I mean, there is, March 12th? So there is, Chaos Walking and Tom and Jerry before that?
So Tom and Jerry is end of February.
Okay.
And then Chaos Walking and Raya
that's what I was
are March 5th.
Of. Okay. So, I mean, I guess if Raya and Chaos hold, then maybe whatever Sony's mystery movie is going to be, I guess that could be like an alternate title, I guess.
Then after in between the 12th and the 19th, the next week is the Academy Award nomination. So I know a lot of smaller distributors are expanding on the 19th. And
Okay.
like you might see more Minari dates, Courier.
If it gets nominated,
if it gets nominated, just some of those types of films will expand on the 19th and to coincide with Academy nominations.
Right. And by the way, for Tyson's Run, the studio is, or the distributor is Iconic Releasing.
Iconic Releasing. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the Iconic that's a alternative content company? I think they are.
Could be.
Okay. That's interesting. So as far as booking strategies, we're still just kind of muddling through this.
What? Nothing new.
Nothing new. We do have a 3-day weekend coming up this weekend, which will be nice. We not only is it Valentine's weekend, but President's Day falls the next day. So we've got 3 days. I did book a lot of like repertory love movies. Some of the ones I targeted were like Ghost, Notebook, P.S. I Love You. And then Lionsgate had The Right One. But I heard that one was not actually like happy romantic, but it was really sad. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I caught a glimpse of like the trailer at one point,
and
I guess
funny, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Like I just assumed like it'd be
like a romantic comedy.
I figured it'd be something like Broken Hearts Gallery, I guess. I mean, it's probably like sad in some moments, but for the most part, it's a happy-go-lucky, nice type of movie.
Yeah.
That's R-rated for some reason.
I've heard that teenagers thought it was kind of funny, and then grown men coming out crying. So I don't know what happens in the movie that is such a disparate like reaction to it. But
last I heard of that, it was like Fault in Our Stars. So I don't know what is it on that level?
I don't know.
Realize.
I thought it was a romantic comedy, so I booked it in a bunch of places thinking it would hold over into Valentine's weekend. But now I'm wondering about it.
Well. Guess we should have looked at the trailer better, I guess. But hey, whatever works though, especially for Valentine's weekend. Like I'm sure there's couples out there that are feeling closed up and want to go out, and even if it's
night.
even if it's an old title, like it's at least a good time to show an old title. Unlike the times we've had before, to where we're relying on these older titles for weeks upon weeks. Instead, this is the right holiday for a date night event.
Yeah. We've got Judas and Land opening this weekend.
We do.
Which I'm really excited about Land, actually. I think it'll work for the Mountain West really well.
Yeah.
So,
there'll definitely be those, I guess, wilderness demographics that will enjoy that type of movie for sure.
Yeah. And then we have the Mauritanian, but I only know of it in a few spots. I think they went extremely limited on this film. I only got approached for one location, and when I couldn't put it in that one location, I gave them another one. They were like, no, we only wanted the one. So
which is so interesting.
For our whole circuit, it was kind of crazy.
Do you think they're trying for a limited type, or a very, very limited type release until Oscars?
Yeah, Oscars.
They think they might be able to get something for the Oscars then.
Yep.
Interesting.
So I'm looking forward to more of the end of the month when Tom and Jerry come out. Maybe it'll kick Croods off its high pedestal.
Or they can both work. I mean, I don't think we'll be opposed to that at all. But yeah, Croods is just still hanging in there.
It is.
There's some weekends where I'm like, maybe it'll like bump off this like new title and it'll be at number one. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just crazy. I didn't expect it to have this long of legs, and theaters and Universal are probably very happy with the results.
It just shows that people want to go to the movie and they want family fare right now. And unfortunately, we're getting just a lot of rated R content.
Yeah, just throwing out whatever rated R content and see what happens. But that's probably not the way to go. Like R-rated titles are very hard to sell, unless if they're like big. Unless they're like big blockbuster type movies. Yeah. But
I think especially right now, it's just even couples and single people in some areas don't necessarily even want to see a rated R title. They just want something happy and maybe more family friendly right now.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to draw in decent sized crowds. Like odds are they're looking for something more happy go lucky than a hard R or any sort of R rated title.
Yeah. And then we got Tom and Jerry at the end of the month. Oh, Boogie. That was the other film that's coming out March 5th. So
that is coming out March 5th.
We're going to have a really big bump in content that last week of February, first week of March, and that it's going to have to last us all through March, because at the end of March we got Godzilla vs. Kong, and that'll be a nice bump.
It's just nice to see that there are some things like sticking. I mean, we were just rattling off some stuff that was being released that was being moved off of, April.
I know. I'm so excited for Raya. I know it's day and date with Disney Plus, and I know Disney Plus is a legit streaming platform that, will actually be competition with the theaters. But man, another family film, like a family film with the premium added on top of it. So it's not like, so on Tom and Jerry, HBO Max, it's just day and date. There's not a premium upcharge for it, but Disney is doing the premium upcharge. So when you're looking at that premium upcharge versus, maybe an outing to the theater and actually getting the kids out, I think they could be going to the theater more than just staying at home.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Plus, I mean, with Tom and Jerry, not only they don't have that upscale price like Disney has for Raya, but HBO Max right now is just probably not ever going to be on the tier that Disney Plus is when it comes to streaming services. So it's a much harder sell to, get that streaming service just for Tom and Jerry. When you can just go to the theater.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, Disney has enough content that they can compete with Netflix, but I think Netflix may always be the predominant streaming platform because of the convenience of having a ton of different content on it. Like, you can only stomach so much PG-13 Marvel and Star Wars and then all the PG kids stuff before you're like, I need an adult movie. I need them to say an F word.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it has a cluster of everything, and it doesn't matter, like, what distributor or brand it comes from.
Right.
That's why people like Netflix.
I like the convenience of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's more convenient. Unlike, streaming services that we're seeing from Warner Bros. And Paramount, they're not as convenient, and and those studios are thinking that they can sell their streaming service based on the brand, which doesn't work that way, unlike Disney.
Right.
Like, no one's going to Paramount Plus and being like, I want to see a Paramount picture. No one.
I don't know if anybody outside the industry could name a Paramount picture.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like
like the way you could be like that's a Disney movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with Netflix, they just have a mixture of everything, and it doesn't matter where it comes from. It's coming from Netflix. Yeah. Netflix has it.
Yeah. So the question is so we've got some titles, they're sticking. Some have the premium on them, some don't. Mm-hmm. What is Disney going to do with Black Widow? I think they're going to wait and see how Raya goes. I know they're kind of different audiences. It's Marvel versus in animation.
Yeah.
But I think if Raya goes pretty well in theaters and with the premium added on to the day and date, I could see Black Widow getting the same treatment, and then if it does, it'll stick in May. If they totally want to go just theatrical, it's going to move out of May. I don't see that staying. What
about with how theaters are kind of slowly reopening, like especially New York? Like, I think New York is still trying to get their theaters reopening. Do you think that's going to play a toll as well?
Maybe, but what I think Disney's going to look at is they don't want to be first out of the gate. They are not going to want to jumpstart things. They're going to want somebody else to be first out, and you almost need somebody else first out a couple weeks ahead. So, and more than one. Like, it's creating momentum to one, say Black Widow. So, I just don't see anybody going in April to create that momentum. I think May is the month you start the momentum, and hopefully you. Then I think like Fast 9 and stuff is in June, right?
It's coming out next year, I believe. Fast 9 is.
Did they move it all the way to next year?
I'll double check that too.
Okay, well, if they did, that's a bummer. we've got some stuff. I think Morbius moved to October. What do we
have?
Oh,
sorry. F9 Fast and Furious 9 is coming out at the end of May 28th. Okay, I was mistaken it for something else, I guess. And Morbius is at the beginning of 2022. So January.
Oh yeah, that's right. They moved it back even further.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I think that, it may, if they do the premium thing, it might stick and they could keep that going. If they don't, they'll move it probably more into June and let Fast 9 probably be the first one out the gate.
Yeah.
And I don't think Universal is going to want that, so that might move back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really hoping that Black Widow is theatrical only and not theater and day and date. Because I just would like it to be only a theater release first and foremost. But
I like one of their brands, whether it's, Marvel or Lucasfilm or something, to just be only theater.
Yeah, and we were hoping that could be the case for Black Widow. And it still could, but we just might have to wait a bit longer for that to happen. But
I think we just need to see how Raya does and then see where everybody's at with COVID vaccinations and see where New York and LA are at.
Yeah, and we still have time. Like, this movie is at the beginning of May.
Yeah.
It might be a rush job when they decide to do it, and all heck's going to break loose, know? But, we're just going to have to wait and see, and it still is going to be good for theaters if it gets released, I think, but we would just prefer it to be theater only.
Yep. I'm sorry. I have had a long week, and it is
Chug more Dr. Pepper.
I know.
It's right next to you.
It's right next to me. It's like 20 below out, and I don't know about any listener that lives in the north like we do, but when it gets this cold, I just get so sleepy. I'm like, I need to hibernate.
Well, you
like
have
a bear.
You have your space heater on full blast. Like, that's probably not helping things.
No, that's the only thing keeping me functional.
I had to step in your office for us to talk over stuff, and I'm pretty sure I was like, I'm sweating. Like, this is getting ridiculous.
No, it's not that hot. I like having
it was that hot.
I like having warm feet. I cannot be productive without warm feet. And it is cold outside.
It is. It's like, what, -20 or something now?
Yeah, at least -10.
Yeah. Okay, so I exaggerated. My bad.
Yeah. Where's Alexis when we need her?
Yeah.
Alexis, what's the current temperature? I've been doing that so much.
Yeah, you did that like today, and I was like, wait a minute, you have an I didn't even know you had one.
Yeah.
I was like, why are you just yelling that?
How do you think I play Cozy Jazz Radio?
On your computer.
No.
That's what I always thought.
No, I play it on Alexa because I want the nice set speakers.
Oh, I just don't have a clue then.
It's okay. Don't go in there ordering anything.
I would never. No. I would never abuse that.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple other things on the list. I know that several of our listeners have emailed and called about contacts to book the film Cherry from Apple.
Oh, yeah.
That has now gone to A24, and they're going super limited.
Like, super?
Like maybe 30 locations at its widest point. So
super.
They're not looking... They're not looking for anybody right now. I got one location only because I think the theater owner contacted them directly, and so it was kind of like they had to give it to him.
Man, that's just frustrating. Like, I get that you're trying to do it for your streaming service and you're trying to do this for awards,
right?
To get into the award circuits and all that, but just crank it out a bit more. You got Tom Holland, the Russo brothers are directing it. Just release it a bit more. What difference? You're gonna be able to make good money, and then even more some once it comes out on the streaming service. Still get more people on there.
That's it. Like, what's your cost? Is if is a hard drive about $250? Maybe say it's $500. Why not just make it a guarantee so that you cover your costs?
Yeah,
and then only take locations where you can get a guarantee. So there are some states that don't allow minimums or guarantees. Don't go there, Don't go there unless it's a theater you think can gross. But just get the guarantee. That way that doesn't affect your per screen average. You cover your costs, and you put the onus on the theater to make the money. And then you just give them an opportunity. But this 30 prints or or 100 prints. It's silliness is what it is. And there's I just can't think of an argument why going so few prints can be justified. If you're worried about losing money, then make a guarantee.
The only thing that I could see this working is if they're starting very limited, and as it gets closer to like awards time, with like the Oscars, then they bump up the print counts, kind of like what A24 is doing with Minari.
Yeah.
But even still, like, we're just in such weird times, and you're trying to, show like this new movie that you have. You got a big list star, you got these directors that came off of $1 billion franchise, and you want to show people that you are great at making content. Even if it is going to streaming, you're good at making content. Why not, go for it a little more than just 30? Instead of 30, give it another 0, give it a 300, what?
Or 1,000. What's wrong with 1,000 print minimum?
Yeah, I mean, would we all like it to be 1,000? Like, no, but it's better than 30.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I just can't fathom why that makes sense and not a bigger print count with a guarantee on it. I just don't know why they couldn't cover that cost.
Like, I'm pretty sure Cherry is going to be released a week before it goes on the streaming service.
Right.
So, but we're seeing like day and date type stuff to where they have more locations going on than 30, and they're almost doing the same thing. I mean, whether there's a premium cost to it or not. Like, why not just do a similar path and bump up the print counts?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, it could just be Apple doesn't know how to distribute films.
Well, I think they don't, and they went with A24, but I'm not sure what A24's justification for going so limited is.
I don't think it was their choice. They're probably just doing this so that way they can get a cut from Apple, which is fair. Like, Apple money is good money, but I can't think that is like an A24 decision. That must be Apple telling them this is how many prints we want, and they're just like, all right, like, we're doing more for that with Minari, but whatever.
Right. No, and I wish we had more insight into that decision-making process.
We never will, but I wish so too.
One of these days, maybe we could sit
Everything will get exposed.
Everything will get exposed. But
I don't know.
That was really unfortunate because I thought that looked really good. I put it in I gave A24 when I found out they had the distribution to it so many dates, and it's like the same story with me.
Yeah.
I get excited. I put it everywhere. I request it. Bam, nothing. 1 or 2 prints. And I'm like, how do you choose who gets that when you have that many?
Yeah, that's a good point because New York is closed. And is LA open now?
No.
Then who are you giving this to?
Yeah.
Like, there's no one else left.
I know that
Chicago? I don't know. Like,
I got some Florida prints on some things. They were looking at like Atlanta as a draw, but
that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know, Texas, Atlanta. They're just looking for the biggest population centers that
are. The next biggest populations other than New York and LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, which okay, that makes sense, but like,
and they
go a little wider in these times.
And they can go in New York. I think I just don't know if they can go in the city.
Then they probably wouldn't do it.
Right. So who knows?
Yeah, again, they're just starting out with this stuff, and they probably don't have a clue. But at the same time, I think it's more than that, and I think they're missing an opportunity, especially with this movie. Right. So
definitely, I was really bummed about that. So
I think a lot of people probably are too.
So everybody knows, Cherry's super limited. Good luck.
Yeah,
trying to get it.
If you're one of the 30, like, I would love to know.
Yeah, and that wasn't like all right away. It was, platforming out.
Yeah,
that was just the whitest point. All right. Shuttered venues. We should get to that.
Yes.
Let's get to that, and then we can go over some fun movies reviews.
Fun. I can't wait.
So on last Friday, on February 5th, the SBA put out a Shuttered Venue Operators Grants Frequently Asked Questions update. And I went through it, and the couple things that I just wanted to make everybody aware of was drive-in movie theaters are not able to apply for SVOG. I was kind of shocked by that. But drive-in movie theaters, because they do not have permanent fixed seating, are not eligible for this. And it kind of makes sense. I think that sucks for some because drive-ins did have to close at one point, but they got to reopen quicker, and I don't think they were as hurt as bad in the grand scheme of things overall across the country. I don't think drive-ins suffered the way indoors did.
Yeah.
So their exclusion from this, well, I was kind of shocked at first, a little blindsided, kind of makes sense in the overall picture when you think about it. But drive-ins are not able to apply because they have no permanent fixed seating. So that was a big one. The question of if film buyers can apply is still a vague gray area. There is provisions for talent agents, and talent agents book live actors and events into venues, and they are taken care of in this and eligible for stuff. But film buyers, because the movie theater part of it was tacked on after and piggybacked on this other bill for live venues, I think that the film buyer thing hasn't really been discussed or just thought about.
They didn't think that part through. Well,
yeah,
they honestly probably didn't know that was a thing, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
No offense.
No.
Fellow film buyer as yourself, but
no, because this originally was Save Our Stages Act. So this really had a focus for live theatrical venues, so live plays. They weren't even thinking about comedy clubs or movie theaters or any of the other venues. So then when it went into legislation, it became Save Shuttered Venue Operators Grants. And movie theaters and some of those other venues were tacked on. But because they were tacked on, there's just some linguistic challenges with trying to figure out what services get included and what don't. A film buyer who books movies into independently owned theaters, we book the content for the theaters, and that is 100% of our job is movie theaters. Yeah. So we're not booking movies for, like anybody. We're doing it for movie theaters. So I think we would qualify under the talent agent part. So I'm guessing that film buyers can still apply. You probably will have to show contracts that 70% or more of your clients are eligible movie theaters. And I think that is still going to happen. But until the SBA updates and says film buyers are not allowed, like they just did with drive-ins, nothing's set in stone yet. Yeah. So I'm still planning on trying to go through the grant process to help my clients and see what happens with that, because our industry or our business was heavily impacted. I mean, as theaters shut down, we shut down. It's not like we had, museums and all these other locations that would just magically stayed open that we were doing this for. We were doing it for theaters that were forced to close. So, I think that there's still life in that idea that film buyers can apply for this. And then what else did have no drive-ins? The independent contractor thing is kind of interesting because you don't want to fall into a secondary service category because those cannot apply for this. So the concession vendors, that sort of thing, even though they also service theaters, I don't think are going to be eligible to apply for this because they technically are secondary service. I think the only reason film buyers might have a shot is because of that talent agent language in the bill. Right. So you might be able to fudge your way through that. Yeah. The fixed seating was a huge thing. Not only is it fixed seating, the ticketing admission is a big thing too. And so you can't have, say, a bar that has a guy come in and sing every Friday night be eligible for this. It really is, you have to have admissions, you have to have tickets, and most of your 70% or more of your business has to be in the pursuit of, live entertainment or theatrical. And then the other really big thing I wanted to point out was they finally talked about what gross income is. And according to them, SBA clarified that the gross earned revenue does not include other sources of funds that an organization may receive, such as donations or sponsorships, government assistance, or returns on investment. So, gross earned revenue is the total of earned revenue from various sales of goods, services, such as admission tickets, merchandise, food and beverage, advertising sales, and contracted presentation income. So, for the movie theater, you're looking at your box, your concession, and any pre-screen advertising, and then anything else that you sell in the theater. So, if you sell, like merchandising, like we have some theaters that sell the big popcorn buckets and stuff, sell them as not part of the concessions. So
people like to buy those for sure.
So all that stuff gets included. They do not include donations and sponsorships. So if you're a not-for-profit, your donations don't get included as gross earned revenue. And then what's interesting is that they did have a membership question here. So there are some movie theaters that do membership programs, and that gets a little gray area because you can use a portion of that membership program to count as part of your gross earned revenue, but only a portion of it. And it's the portion that's the estimated value of the goods or services provided. So then anything else in that membership amount is a contribution and is excluded from the revenue. So
interesting.
That's something that I hadn't thought of until I read through the frequently asked questions. I'm like, oh yeah, there are some theaters with membership programs, and that technically they can use a portion of that. I'm sure that it's ticket sale, like whatever that translate to a ticket amount, like a discounted ticket. You could, if it's like $10 a month gets you 3 free entries or whatever those 3 things discounted would have been. So, because there's probably a concession budget built into that as well too. For a concession discount. So, that just makes it more confusing and a lot harder to figure out your gross revenue if you have a membership program. But you can count some of that, which is great because we want that gross earned revenue number to be the biggest number we can get it, so that we can half that and we have a nice juicy grant amount.
And this is good to know if you do happen to be a theater that does run a membership program like this, because in like the frequently asked questions, this is like buried.
It's so buried.
Very far down, and anyone could have missed something like this. So that's why we're bringing this up now, obviously, is because they're updating it, but there is still so much information that we're trying to decipher this as much as we can.
It sounds like you can't include all of your membership program. It has to be a portion of it, but at least you're getting some of that program counted towards the gross earned revenue.
It'll help, right?
Yep.
That's what we need. Every little thing helps.
Yep. We want that big number.
For sure.
No update on when the grant is actually available to apply for. They are still working on building the portal. SBA will let us know when they get close to the time. My hope, knowing that kind of going through the web development process and knowing what it takes to build something like the portal, especially of this size and this complexity and this security, it could take till the end of the month for them. To do it. I would love them to have it done sooner, but say it takes to the end of February, beginning of March, you're able to apply. Remember that there's a 2-week window for the first tier of people that lost 90% of revenue. So now you're looking middle of March for the second tier, which is 70% revenue, which I think most movie theaters fall in line with, is the 70% second tier. And then the third tier is 50% or more loss, and that is after the 2 weeks of that. So you're looking, through March into April before they even close the grant application process. And then whether they start like awarding them right away or they wait till they close the process, we haven't gotten clarification on that yet. But even if, say, the first 2 weeks closed and then the second tier was starting to apply and they started awarding the grants from the first tier, it could take a week or two to process the application. So you're still looking beginning of April, I think, to get your funds. Now, that's not set in stone. That's just me guessing based on my experience trying to redo the SSI website and how long it took us to get that done.
Kind of different ballparks than what the government's going with.
And I didn't have the bureaucracy and the red tape to
to
go through. So purely guessing here on that. But
take it with a grain of salt, but I think we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. And the only other thing that I'm really worried about that I've heard through some conversations out there this past week where people were saying, oh, I've applied. And I had a few frantic phone calls from some of my clients saying, well, I heard that people have applied. No one has applied for this. So it's not been opened. I don't know where they would have applied. No one has actually applied for these grants yet.
What did they apply for?
I think what's happened is that they've applied for their sam.gov number and thought that was the grant.
Okay.
But I don't know why they would have thought that because they didn't put any amounts in. They didn't put like what they wanted, what they could have gotten.
I mean, there's so many different types of grants and codes and numbers and this and that. Like I give from a certain standpoint, especially if you're not up to date with all this stuff. I can understand how it could be pretty confusing, but SAM code, shuttered venue, grant, seems like different stuff, but I get it. It's all confusing and hectic. And
so if you are out there and you're talking with other owners or managers and they said, oh, I've applied, just know no one's applied yet. We will make a huge deal on SSI. Oh, yeah. We will get the word out in newsletters and we will make a big emergency podcast when it's able to be open. But until that point, just know no one's applied yet.
Yeah, trust us. We want this to happen as much as you guys do. Like once we hear it, we'll let you guys know.
From my fill buyer perspective, I want it to happen more. Like I need to get paid, and I'm not going to get paid unless the theaters get paid, and this is the way they're going to get paid.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So we're all on this. Just make sure that you're on it too, but no one's applied. So. And we don't know when it's going to be available. So just hang in there. I know that people are still under a lot of pressure, especially from banks and lending institutions, but just try to hold them back.
Yeah.
And even if it helps, try to give them that end of February timeline. I mean, fudge that a little bit. Just
fib a little. Say, I've heard through the grapevines that it's going to be at the end of February.
Right.
Did I say end of February? I meant end of March.
Oh my gosh. It needs to happen sooner rather than later. But
yes,
given the fact that the SBA just barely got PPP round 2 out.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they're going to have this grant built a portal specifically for the combination of live venues and theaters built from the ground up anytime soon. And that just sucks, but
it does.
I wish they would just let it go through the banks like PPP. Then they wouldn't have to be building a portal. They could have just issued like a form and you could have applied through the form.
Yeah, but that's too easy.
I think it's too easy. Yeah,
it's the government. We got to make this as difficult as possible.
You're right. They got to really earn it. They got to really earn this grant.
Come on. They suffered for this long. Let's make them earn it back.
So if we hear anything. Oh, I also want to let everybody know, this just hit me, that I got an email after my successful completion of my sam.gov registration and my successful acceptance of my application for my number. I got a spam email that says you need to complete your marketing registration. Oh. And we will put a picture of what this spam email looks like, but it is a scam. People, do not spend any money. It doesn't come from a .gov email address. It doesn't have anything about the government or any part of the government coming from. It's just some marketing thing, and you go through the process and they want money to complete it. Well, you don't need to complete anything. You got your number already. Like, that's it. That's all you needed.
If a prince from India is saying that he needs money from you, don't send it to him.
Yeah, and if a marketing firm says they need you to complete your marketing profile for sam.gov, don't heed those warnings.
Yeah.
Just crazy. So we'll try to put up a picture on SSI where I blank all my information out to show you an example of a scam email. So
Yeah.
I know NATO has also raised the alarm on this as well because they got a lot of people asking them about it. But
good. Glad they noticed that. Glad they caught that.
I got 2 of them because I had 2 different companies.
Right.
Remember, I had 3 companies, but I messed up on the 3rd one. So luckily, I'm not getting any scam emails for that one.
Yeah.
So I know I did the other 2 correctly.
Yeah, if you get a scam email, I guess it means it's working.
Yeah.
But don't answer it.
Don't answer it. So you've been watching some movies. We got a screener in the office here.
We did.
Let me know how it went because I was busy working on stuff in my office and I could hear you guys laughing in there.
Yeah, Ken and I were able to watch Boogie from Focus Features. Pretty much it's a story about an Asian American who is trying to get a full ride basketball scholarship while he's playing in high school, so that way he can provide for his family who just are not able to make the money that they do. And along the way, while he's trying to figure out how to get that scholarship, he's also trying to learn about himself, kind of like one of those coming of age films that we've seen numerous times. And he's also trying to, honor his family's traditions while also trying to be the best basketball player
and adapt to American lifestyle. And
well, he's grown up in America already, so
okay.
he's in like the best of both worlds type situation.
Yeah.
So it's not quite like he's trying to adjust to American life, but he's just trying to figure out his own life.
Right.
But
nice.
yeah, I mean,
was it good?
Yeah, it was good. Like the laughs were very earned from Ken and I because it's funny because the humor, I guess I would say it's dark humor, but it's really good dark humor.
Is it dry?
I wouldn't say that it's dry. I just think it's humor that won't come across well to a lot of people. But I think, I don't know. I think like if you set yourself in and you're adjusting to like what type of movie that this is, like this R-rated coming of age film, I think you can be able to understand the humor and be able to enjoy it. So I guess it's just a matter of taste, and I could see that being an issue for people watching. But
was it really well paced? Because it's only like 90 minutes. It was quick. I mean, you watched it in the office, and it didn't take all day.
I didn't have a problem with the pacing, no, and I did like that it was about 90 minutes. Like it seemed like it didn't need to expand much more to have like a 2-hour runtime. It seemed like from start to finish, it really was a movie that understood what it was trying to be and what it was trying to say.
Nice.
And I think it just was a well told story about this young teenager who has a lifestyle that we just don't see very often in movies. And I just really appreciate that it showed, the side of him that's growing up in American lifestyle, but also shows the, other things about him that come from his other culture.
Is the writer or from the same guy that did the premise for Fresh Off the Boat? Is it from the same?
I believe so. It's a writer and a producer of that movie, I believe. I'm spacing on his name now.
Is it Eddie Wan?
I think so, yeah. I think that you're correct on the name.
Is this like a personal story of his, or?
I didn't get the impression that it was a personal story. I think it just came from him. I don't think it's based on a true story.
Yeah. I love that show, Fresh Off the Boat, and
I've heard good things about it.
One of my favorite comedians, Ali Wan, writes for it, and so.
Oh, okay. And she's great. Yeah,
she is so wonderful.
Yeah, she's awesome. I did not know that.
She's not in this movie.
No,
she did not write this movie.
And if you have seen Fresh Off the Boat, I think it's probably a very different show than what Boogie is.
Yeah.
Did I say what the name of the movie even was?
I did. Boogie.
Okay, good. I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't even know if I said it, but yeah. I mean, I think it's just a different coming of age story, just from a different perspective. But I think it does well with telling a coming of age story that feels different, but it's also a good basketball movie in general. Like I was really impressed with the filming of all of the basketball scenes that went through it. I thought that he did a really good job.
Yeah. Well, I know that it's from Focus, right?
Yeah.
They're going as wide as they did with Land on it. So I think a little less than 1,000 prints. Mm-hmm. So I've requested it in quite a few places because we just need content. And I loved that it had a short runtime on it. Like you could put multiple showings in.
Yeah, totally.
And get people in and out a lot quicker. So I liked that. And you could also have a little later showing without it going too late at night. So if you aren't doing 9 o'clocks, you could you might be able to squeeze in, like a 8 and go past it a little bit later,
Yeah,
and get a little later showing.
Yeah, there could definitely be people coming in late who, want to be away from the crowds for the most part and just want to see probably a movie that they haven't seen in a while late at night. And
right, but you don't have to have staff there till past 10.
Yeah, exactly.
To accommodate that. So yeah,
and people still get out early enough for them to enjoy the rest of the night. So I think that's a really good point. Like, it'll be good for that type of setting.
And then you saw Promising Young Woman, which is getting a lot of critical response. It's very
deserved.
Positively reviewed.
Yeah.
It's really holding in there where we've played it in a few places. It's just doing pretty consistent business. So there is, I think, something there. It's not just like this artsy, like critically acclaimed movie, but it seems to be doing, good amongst regular audiences. So what were your thoughts on it?
Well, that's good that it's doing well in that way, because the subject matter, I mean, it's tough stuff. It's a story about a woman who is dealing with the grief and trauma that she experienced offhand when her friend passes away after, going through an awful situation of her being raped by some college colleagues of theirs. But the men who were involved in that were able to get away scot-free, and which led to her friend having depression and then leading to her death. So the story is, very dark just by the premise alone. But
right.
I think what works well with having general audiences be able to still like the movie is because it's hard hitting when it comes to those subject matters of, subject matters like rape culture and male privilege. But it does in a way to where it's satirical when it comes to rom-coms, and it has the right amount of dark humor to where it's good and it offsets.
It takes the edge off.
It takes the edge off, and yet somehow you still feel the edge. And I don't know how the director was able to pull that off. The director is Emerald Fennell, and she also wrote the movie. I don't know how she was able to come up with that balance and make it work so well, but
Carey
it
Mulligan's
works.
Performance?
It definitely helps, because Carey Mulligan is the anchor of this entire movie for sure. Like, you understand like the grief and the trauma that she's facing, even though it wasn't her that experienced what her friend had to go through. And Carey Mulligan just does this really good job at playing different versions of one character. Like, there's a version where she's shut off and acts like a loner from her parents, and there's a version where she's sarcastic and dry-witted, almost showing her true colors to her best friend, like her one best friend, but not enough to where she really opens up. And, there's also another version where, without giving too much away, to where she's going out at night and stopping men from assaulting other women, just like how her friend was in some ways. And so there's just multiple versions of herself that she's playing, but then towards the middle of the movie, you finally figure out like who the true version of her is, and you like it and you root for her because you want her to stop grieving and be able to move on with her life, because you see how happy she's becoming. And without giving anything away, there's just something else that adds on to the mix at the end to where, it reverts back and has a good climax and ending to the movie that's really satisfying and very different. And I don't think people will expect it, but
we'll have to watch how it does through award season, because I think that it's doing well now, but it wasn't playing in very many places, but the buzz has been good. It had good Rotten Tomato scores. It's gotten a lot of critical acclaim.
Yeah.
And that showing in the grosses to a certain extent, the audience are being receptive to it. So I would love to see a film like this grow and then become an awards darling.
Yeah, and I think it can be. I mean, Carey Mulligan's performance alone, I could easily see her being the front runner for like a Best Actress award. The writing, I think, will be a strong contender for like a writing category. And I think if it gets just enough
I just hope
awards
it doesn't
contentions and enough awards categories, it will be able to get a bump. And I think Focus Features will realize that and give it another push, because I do think it's going to be a really good movie that audiences won't be expecting, but I think they'll come out being satisfied.
Right. Well, I know that it's two things: that it's done well enough that if it does get that awards push and bump at the Academy season, then yes, like that'll be a good one to play in theaters down the road. Maybe if you've avoided it because of the politics of it or the darkness of it, it might be a good one that, because a lot of the times, a lot of the last few years, these Academy pictures have not translated to a bump theatrically at all. Like nobody really wants to see them, but this one might might pull it through and it might actually could produce a bump. But I'm hoping that it doesn't get caught up in the whole like politics of having a female director about female,
wagging the finger at men. And I mean, at face value, that's definitely what it could appear as. But I think between the awards contention that it could have, plus hopefully if you hear from me and a bunch of other people who reviewed this movie, like it has like something else to it to where it doesn't feel like finger wagging, like it feels hard hitting and insightful, but it also has a little bit of something else to it to where you can be able to enjoy this type of story and this type of subject matter. It may not feel good in moments when it needs to not feel good, but there's enough moments when it comes to, the human elements, to the satirical elements, to the moments where the dark humor, to where you gasp maybe and then laugh about it because you realize, hey, that was actually a funny joke. So
nice.
Hopefully those elements can be able to show somehow through like it's award contention.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm glad we're back to having some reviews.
I am too. I missed this.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
The screeners in the office have been really fun.
Yeah.
But we've had a few, but we haven't been able to talk about them because then they moved off their release dates. And
true.
Like Comeback Trail from Cloudburst.
That one that one I wanted to talk about, and I also have been wanting to write about, but since there's no release date for it yet, there's no reason for me to release it quite yet. I think there'll be a written review for Boogie right before it's released, and then Promising Young Woman, there's already a review out on SSI right now. So
yeah, no, it's just nice to get back into it.
Yeah.
What do we have coming up? We have Courier from Roadside, I think is another screener we're going to get in preview. Nice. So we're still working on it.
Will Lionsgate get us one for Chaos Walking? Probably not.
Probably not. We'll try.
One can dream.
One can dream.
But no, Courier would be a good one to watch.
Yeah. I really want to see Blythe Spirit, but it comes out next week. And I'm like, maybe I could get a screener. I'm like, no, I'll just wait till it comes out.
Yeah.
Normal time. But that one I think looks hilarious. And I don't know why I'm so drawn to that movie, but
well, IFC I don't think they do many comedies.
They don't.
I think partially for us anyway, in our small circles, like seeing IFC do a comedy.
Yeah.
Because normally they do like hard-hitting dramas and some horror.
They do
stuff,
horror.
And you just don't see them do comedies all that much. So.
I bet if we put all the IFC posters together, it would be literally the colors would be brighter than all the others. It's all black.
Dark gritty colors until you get the Blythe Spirit, and it's like Dan
orange.
Stevens and Judi Dench on the poster.
Yeah, like this
with weird faces on
50s theme or 40s, theme with
the like flappers type garments and whatever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it just looks really fun, and I love Dan Stevens. I think he can do comedy and drama and stuff. So, and Judi Dench is always really good. So I'm just and Leslie Mann, I love her. She's so funny.
Leslie Mann, Isla Fisher's in it. Is it Ilsa or Isla? I think it's Isla Fisher.
I think it's Isla.
I never remember, but she's great.
Yeah, I haven't really I haven't seen her in a comedy since Wedding Crashers. I never really watched. Was it Now You See Me? I never watched those.
I actually caught those two, and those are still good. I mean, I like the first one a lot, and the second one I finally just saw, and I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, so I haven't really seen her since Wedding Crashers.
Did you ever see Tag? No. She's great in Tag.
No, I didn't see that one.
And I think you'd actually like that. That's a good comedy.
Is it?
Yeah.
I need to see that.
Yeah.
So.
I recommend it. People go watch Tag. It's delightful.
It's delightful. All right. Well, I think that gets us through this podcast this week. Yeah. Minus our man down.
Yeah. Hopefully Ken will come back. We missed him, and I hope
I really
he feels
missed
better.
him. I was thrown off today. It just doesn't. How can you be a tripod missing a leg?
What? What do you think, Ken? Ken?
Where are you? I look over at Kyle, and I look over, and it's just an empty space, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
Normally she faces Ken and I, and I've taken advantage of Ken being gone and have the entire space to myself.
I know.
So
he was like, oh, look at all this space. First thing he said when he sat down, I'm like, we have a man down, Kyle. Show some respect.
What are you, some kind of jerk?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of Off the Break Podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and over at silverscreeninsider.com, where if you're a theater owner or manager needing marketing materials and needing to know what's coming up with what little product there is currently with to show for movies theaters, then man, I almost had it too.
I know.
And
I've been off today too on this. I just mumbled my way through some of that.
It's because Ken's not here. Anyway, go to our website. If you understood any of that, go to our website.
Go to our website right now. Just go quick. Oh, stay warm, everybody. It's pretty cold up here.
It's a cold one out there.
Yeah, all that polar vortex coming down from Canada.
Oh, right.
All right.
All right.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.